Hey, algebra students. I hope, this is Mr. Nichols here. I hope that the information I gave you in the previous assignment worked out. Just study the examples that I sent you on that form and the video. If you don't understand it or are confused, watch it again. Watch it a couple times. I think Nancy Pye did a good job in explaining solving quadratic equations by factoring. There are two other problems that are in your book on page 13, 1 and 2. I'd like to go over with you right now, but quickly, as a side note, quadratic equations, what does that mean? Because it has 4 parts, it's quad? No, not quite. Quadratic equations, quadratic is from quadrum, it's Latin for means square-like. And we know that a quadratic equation is a number, x squared, plus another number times x plus a constant equals 0. That's a quadratic equation. And because we have this square right here, that's why it's a quadrum. So that's where we get our quadratic equation, not because it has 4 parts, but because it's part of the Latin term. So our first one we're going to do, I believe, is number 2 on page 13. And we see we have x times x minus 4 equals 21. Well, this is we have to do 2 steps before we even get to trying to solve it by factoring. The first thing we have to do, obviously we have this parentheses here, and an x, it's a distributive property problem. So we're going to do x times x is x squared, x times negative 4 is minus 4x, and that is going to equal 21. Step 1 complete, distributive property. Step 2, according to our quadratic equation, everything that's beyond the left side equals 0. Well, we have equal 21, so we have to go ahead and subtract 21 from both sides. 21 from both sides. And what do we get? We get x squared minus 4x minus 21 equals 0. Now that is going to be called our original equation. All right? So now we solve it. We have to factor it out. So the first thing we have to do is we're going to go ahead and find our factors. First thing, do our parentheses. The next, we have x squared. We're going to put x on both sides. Now, what number goes here and here? Well, we're going to take what 2 numbers multiplied together gives us negative 21, but when you add them together, we get minus 4. So a neat little tree that I saw is we have negative 21. What 2 factors do we put into 21? We could say negative 1 and a positive 21. Okay. Negative 21 and a positive 1. All right, but neither one of those gets us close to negative 4. Well, what about negative 3 and a 7? Well, 7 take away 3 is a positive 4, but we have a negative 4 right here. So it must be negative 7 plus 3. Okay? So negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4. That's what we have here. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. That's what we have right here. So we're going to put in negative 7 and a positive 3. That is our answer right there, but we want to go and check it first. And we want to substitute, I'm sorry, it's not our final answer, because we have to get this x equals something. We have to find out what x is. So we're going to take them, x minus 7 equals 0. We're going to add 7 to both sides. And so now x equals positive 7. Same thing with this one. X plus 3 equals 0. And we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. X, these cancel out, equals negative 3. Okay? This is our answers, boys and girls. However, we're going to check and we're going to correct. All right, check it. If it's wrong, we make a correction. But we're going to substitute these two numbers into our original equation right here. So let's say we're going to have 7 squared minus 4 times 7 minus 21 should equal 0. Well, let's see. We have 49 minus negative and a positive is minus 28 minus 21 equals 0. Negative 28 plus negative 21 is negative 49. 49 take away 49 is 0. Great, that works. So now we're going to substitute negative 3 into our original. Okay, negative 3 squared minus 4 times negative 3 minus 21 equals 0. Let's check it. Negative times a negative is a positive, 9. And then these two guys here are two negatives, so that means that's plus 12 minus 21 equals 0. 9 plus 12 is 21. 21 take away 21 is 0. So these two numbers work. So this is your answer that you send in to me. These two are your answer you send in to me. Number 1 on page 13 looks like this. And I'd like to talk to you about maybe 2 ways of solving this. I want to move that down in case you want to freeze frame it. You can look at the top problem. All right, the first one is, if you look at this, it looks like this could be a perfect square. Well, square and square, that gives me the idea. Maybe I could square root them both, but you can't square root a negative, so we're going to have to swing this guy over. So we're going to have to add 81 to both sides. And that is going to be x squared equals 81. Well, now we could take the square root of both, and we can only do it if this is a perfect square. Whatever number here is a perfect square. So these guys cancel out. X equals plus or minus 9. Plus or minus 9. Why? Why the minus? Well, negative 9 times negative 9 is still 81. Positive 9 times positive 9 is still 81. So if we put those in there, negative times a negative, 81 take away 81 is 0. 81 take away 81 is 0. All right? So let's look at this. Now, we're going to solve it more like what we did up here. But Mr. Nichols, there's only 2 terms here. There is. In a quadratic equation, we need an x. How many x's are here? No, that's not, doesn't count. That's part of the quadratic. How many x's are in the middle here? You might say 0. 0x. That's correct. So we have x squared plus 0x minus 81 equals 0. All right. So now we got to think, just like we did up here, what numbers do we multiply together to get 81? Well, we can say minus 1 and 81, but if we add those together, we don't get 0. What 2 numbers do we need to multiply together to get negative 81? But when we add them, we get 0. Well, how about 81 and negative 1? See, I'm being ridiculous because you guys got that. How about negative 9 and positive 9? Absolutely. That is negative 81. 9 take away 9. 9 take away 9 is 0. So this is our 2 numbers. So parentheses, x squared. We found our numbers. We're not done yet because we have to set these to 0. So x minus 9 equals 0. X plus 9 equals 0. Let's add 9. Add 9. X equals 9. Take away 9. Take away 9. X equals negative 9. And that's exactly what we had over here, plus or minus. And since you don't have a plus or minus, or maybe can't type a plus or minus, this will be your answers right here, right there. Not necessarily 9 or -9, but whatever the number is, you're going to write it like that for me, and with a comma in the middle. Thank you. Remember, if you have any questions, email me. You should have my email, and just keep watching the videos over and over again, okay? Thank you. Hope to see you soon.